What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Bunch of stuff to talk about today, including things about the Switch lines in Japan, which are getting out of control. And I think I'm finally going to touch on the Alex Maurer situation because it is kind of coming to a head, and it's getting a little out of control with some things that happened the other day. So let's get started. So we're going to start with the Nintendo Switch lines in Japan. I said they're getting out of control. That might be an understatement here because they are getting very out of control, considering at this point in Japan, some lines have been spotted up to 3,000 people deep. Yes, that's right. There are up to 3,000 people waiting for Switches in line to a store that has apparently 250 Switches available based on eyewitness reports. Now, Kotaku also published an article talking about these lines, and yes, they really are that crazy. That's how much Japan wants these systems, and it's not helping, especially now because they know Splatoon 2 is coming up. Splatoon 2 is hyper popular in Japan. Like, think about something that's popular like in the United States or wherever you are, whether it's in different parts of the world, and then multiply that by like 5 or 10. It's that serious there. It's very, very popular. And unfortunately, the Switches have been trickling out, as we've seen. So yes, there are up to 3,000 people waiting in line for tickets just for a chance to touch the box of the Switch and take it home and open it up and play it. And it's getting to the point where prices are out of control, where you're seeing things like 46,000 yen attached to a Switch system for pricing on like the secondhand market. They've even had ones that convert to US dollars around $450 over there. So yes, the Switch is insane. Right now, though, it looks like, because we're going to go into this now, the Switch may be showing back up in stock here in the States at places like Best Buy, Target, Walmart, and GameStop this Friday for Splatoon 2. So I assume Nintendo knows how popular it is there, and if we're getting a bunch here in the States, you can expect Japan to have quite a few there on Friday. So it's interesting to think that if you have a Switch, you are one of the lucky few apparently in the world, despite there probably being somewhere between 3-4 million maybe Switches out there currently. It's still interesting to think that this system is that hyped up and that hard to find that people are going through those lengths, but it also is a good thing for the Switch because it shows that it is in high demand compared to something like the Wii U that had fallen off at this time. It really died after the first 2 months or so. So good on the Switch for at least keeping the hype train going. Nintendo seems to get their production line figured out to start pumping these out. According to them, though, they will have everything really situated by Christmas time to make that holiday push. We'll just have to see. Next up, we finally have a Mario 64 maker. That's right. Over on YouTube, user Kays Emmanuel has now created it looks almost like a beta build of Mario 64 Maker. According to them, it's just version 1, and they will look into doing more with it, provided it doesn't get some kind of copyright takedown. Although, people are concerned about that, but this is not a program that just runs on a computer, for example, like an EXE. It's actually a ROM for Nintendo 64 emulators, which means it could work on pretty much anything that runs N64 emulators, whether you have an Android-based desktop box, for example, that plays them, maybe play them on your phone, however that is with a touch screen, or your computer. Any way you could play an N64 ROM, you can technically play this. What's really cool is they set it up so it works specifically with the Nintendo 64 controller fine. Like, you actually go around, you put platforms down. In this video, they started with lava all over the place, and they built an entire, like, little course for Mario to kind of run through. And I like this idea because Mario Maker was missing, like, the entirety of, like, a 3D 64 type of Mario game. And I like this. I think this is something Nintendo might pursue down the road if they do decide to make Mario 64. This, like a Mario 64 type maker with 3D world and everything, this could be something that you see they eventually take down. But generally, I've seen a lot of ROM hacks kind of be protected, or Nintendo just doesn't care enough. So maybe they never go after it just because of that. Either way, you can download it now and check it out. Check the description. I'll leave a link to their YouTube video that has all of the instructions and the file in their description. Next up, something very sad to a lot of people has happened. Pixelmon, or basically a Minecraft mod that is very popular based around Pokemon, as you probably could guess from the title, has been shut down. Yes, the Pokemon company has reached out to them. They pretty much respectfully withdrew after what I assume to be a cease and desist was sent their way. I don't think the Pokemon company just sent them an email and said, hey, take that down. they probably sent them cease and desist, and at that point they were forced to take it down and say we're ceasing all work and production on Pixelmon. Now the download, I believe, is still live, but it won't be live for long. They're probably just going to completely erase it and get rid of at least any links to it. I'm sure they'll keep it on their personal computers. But what is Pixelmon? Well, Pixelmon was a very popular Minecraft mod that brought in basically all the mechanics of Pokemon, gym leaders, I think over 500 Pokemon, basically everything you think of with Pokemon outside of Minecraft brought into Minecraft as a playable game. It was really cool. It was a great idea. It took a lot of work. It was worked on since 2013, so it's been a while, and people on the subreddit for Minecraft, on the Pixelmon forums, are almost in like mourning, like they lost their friend, because it is it's a shame to see these things, especially when so much time and effort. I mean, how many countless nights do you think these people are up working on this stuff, and it gets shut down by the Pokemon company? Listen, it's their prerogative to do this. This is something they should do because it is their intellectual properties. It's just a shame because they probably know when they sent this that, man, these guys are such big fans of us. They've spent 4 years of their life designing a mod just to bring Pokemon into Minecraft. But maybe there's a silver lining here, because maybe there is something on the horizon where maybe the Pokemon company is working on a mod in tandem with the Minecraft creators to do similar things, although I doubt it, to be honest, but you never know. And with the launch of the Ryzen CPU line, there were a ton of really excited PC enthusiasts. See, what happened was, finally, AMD is competitive with Intel again, to the point where Intel was taking shots at them like we've looked at before, saying that things like their server CPUs are just their retail CPUs glued together, according to Intel. But we're to that point now where it's back to being, you know, Intel versus AMD, like the good old days, like I remember. And that's awesome. But there's some weird stuff happening where people are ordering off of Amazon and getting apparently fake Ryzen chips. So what's happening is customers are ordering on Amazon. This isn't everyone, but apparently two users at this point have reported this, where they ordered a Ryzen 7 1700 processor. It shows up like it should, like normal, but then they take it out of the box and they start to realize something. This is a Celeron processor from Intel. And when you see the pictures, you could tell right away, at least if you're familiar with processors like I am. When I see that, I see an Intel processor like right away. And this was posted over on Reddit by Shooter999, where they take this out of their Amazon package and they realize, wait a minute, this isn't a Ryzen chip. This isn't the right heat spreader. It's integrated like an Intel processor. Well, that's because it is. Also, when you flip it over and there's no pins on the bottom, well, that's Intel's setup. Ryzen has pins on the bottom to pop in. That's kind of, at least for a while now, been the MO between the two, where Ryzen or AMD chips have gold pins coming out the bottom. Well, Intel doesn't. They actually integrate that into their socket. So once you see that, you should know, yeah, you're not getting a Ryzen chip that's authentic. So now everyone's trying to figure out where these are coming from. They're basically branded Ryzen chips that are kind of slipping through the cracks on Amazon. And luckily, though, they were able to send them back. Amazon's going to get it all figured out. I assume send them the correct chips. But it's weird to see this. I don't know. I have a feeling this has probably happened in the past. It just seems to be in the spotlight now because obviously of how popular the rise of AMD coming back with Ryzen is, and all of a sudden you open the box and you get an older, slower Celeron. Really, the moral here is keep your receipts. Make sure you have all of your paperwork if this does happen. That way you can send it back wherever you got it from. And be careful, especially now, from buying from maybe secondhand sources you're not 100% sure of, specifically something like eBay, maybe, or even Craigslist at this point, because who knows where these cheap knockoff processors or rebadged Celerons are going to pop up. And the last bit of news is something I've kind of stayed away from. You may have noticed this on Newswave. I see this pop up in the comments all the time. People ask me on Twitter what my opinion is on the situation. And that, of course, is the entire Alex Mauer debacle. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you have a lot of catching up to do. I'm not going to catch you up on everything because it would take me a while, like half an hour probably, to go through everything that's happened and get you caught up. Basically, all you need to know is there's a game called Star Mazer. Alex Mauer did work on there for composing music, and then she had a dispute with the company that made Star Mazer and brought it out, and instead of doing the normal thing, which is to take it to court and sue them, she decided to start copyright flagging and attempting to destroy people's YouTube channels. And up to date now, she has stricken 70 times on 60 different channels, with multiple strikes going to several. Now, if you don't know, when a channel, like a YouTube channel, gets a copyright strike, it's different from a copyright claim. A claim doesn't really affect the channel to the point that a strike will. A claim usually means whoever puts the claim on gets the money. Whatever money is monetized there, you can get in trouble or at least claimed for things like video footage, in some cases gameplay footage. Nintendo is notorious for doing that, but it's what they choose to do, I guess. You just have to be careful with it. And then, of course, you have the copyright strike, which damages a channel badly. One copyright strike, you can no longer live stream, you can no longer create videos that are over 15 minutes, and you are, for the most part, on almost like a probationary period where they keep a strong eye on you, even if the strike is not warranted, like we are seeing now. And it's a pretty straightforward rule: 3 strikes and your channel is gone. You can terminate a channel in 3 strikes, and Mauer has been able to do that to some YouTube channels. In fact, Mauer also had the entire game pulled from Steam. If you have the situation, you do not attack the company, you sue them in court. And it's almost like counterproductive here for her to be doing this, because they make money by selling the game, and if you sue and win or even settle out of court, they would then just pay you that money anyway, and you would get what you wanted, which is a payday, right? I mean, the fact that the entire situation is over money, you figure you let them sell their game, why would you stop them from getting money that they will just inevitably give you? Basically, if she really is right, like she thinks she is, which it's been proven that she's not, at least in the Star Mazer situation, why would you not let them sell the game? The only reason you start to do this is because you know you're probably not right and you're trying to create a path of destruction on the way to the end. If you really want to see more information about this, go check out Sid Alpha's channel. Go check out John Bain or Total Biscuit's channel. They go through all of this. Sid Alpha has done a very good job, though, kind of documenting it and talking about it. There's also one other person I want to talk about real quick, and that is a YouTuber by the name of Leonard French. He's doing the right thing here, because he is actually taking Alex Mauer to court on behalf of the Star Mazer company. And what's happening here is, because him and several others have received death threats, he's actually been able to get a restraining order and had her placed under arrest for her own well-being, because it seems like she's becoming kind of unhinged or having some possible insanity problems. It's hard to say. The situation is really bad. If you're interested in it, like I said, I recommend doing some research, checking it out. It's a very interesting read, a very interesting narration. It could almost make a good movie someday, seriously, depending on how this goes. The other thing we need to think about, though, going forward, is how this affects the DMCA copyright system on YouTube, because that is probably going to be brought up in court as well, and it will be scrutinized like no other, because Alex Mauer has had a free reign to just issue strikes all over the place. Like I said, 70 strikes. That's a lot of strikes. And there's really no basis for most of it, because you don't handle it that way. And her thinking apparently was that if I start striking these channels down, then they'll put pressure on the Star Mazer company. Great. Well, that's the thing, though. YouTubers have a voice if they have an audience of any kind. Even if they don't, they can still show up in the search results for it. So you're basically poking people who have the ability to put a message out there. And so far, the message for Alex Mauer, not been very good. Either way, I hope Leonard French gets this figured out. For him to get death threats is absolutely insane, by the way. Like, it makes zero sense. And I hope eventually they bring justice and fix some of the flags that are going on for YouTube channels that just don't deserve it. They wanted to cover Star Mazer, now they get a copyright strike. Well, I hope they figure this out. They're going to court at some point soon. If you're curious about the legal proceedings, go check out Leonard French's channel. It's in the description. He's a cool dude, and I hope it all works out for him. And that's it for Newswave today, guys. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know think about any of the stuff we talked about today, whether it is the Switch lines in Japan. Maybe you're still looking for one, or maybe you're apparently one of the lucky few that have a Switch at this point. Keep in mind, I wouldn't take your Switch for granted. There are people waiting in lines of 3,000 deep just to get a ticket to then get a chance to buy the Switch. It's like that. Also, let me think about the Super Mario 64 Maker. Is that something you would like to see Nintendo pursue with maybe a 3D world kind of maker? And then also let me know what you think about the Alex Mauer situation. Just keep it kind of civil in the comments, because it can get out of control. I've seen other people's videos on that subject, and yes, they get out of control. That's it for now. I'll see you guys next time.